On this episode, we'll discuss cultivating clarity and creativity in your church through visual design. Well, hey there, and welcome to another episode of the Church Leadership Lab podcast, the show that is dedicated to inspiring leaders and empowering healthy churches. We're your hosts, Kendall Connor and Jessica Moore. How are you today, Jess?
Hey, Kendall. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Excited to jump into our show today.
I'm extra excited about this guest.
I am too. It's not every day that we get to interview someone from our team here at Ministry Brands. And so I know this is going to be a special one, right?
Yeah, it's a team member and a friend, and that's really fun. We're going to have a fun conversation.
This is going to be a great one. This episode is going to be particularly helpful for any of you listeners out there today who have a passion for creativity. If you just generally appreciate clarity across your organization, or if you ever just wanted to improve visuals at your church, this is going to be an exciting episode for you. Today on our show, we have the privilege of having our own Darcy Danson from our team here at Ministry Brands, who's going to be sharing with us. And if you have not connected with her before, let me tell you a little about her. Darcy has spent her career combining creativity with purpose. She is designed for churches like Second Baptist Church Houston and Prestonwood Baptist Church. And now she leads the creative team here at Ministry Brands, where she has been for more than 6 years. In her role, she says that she loves being a part of work that helps churches focus on what matters most, serving Jesus and the people that they are called to reach. And outside of work, she says that she enjoys traveling and spending time outdoors with her husband and her 3 kids, always looking for the next family adventure. Jess, I feel like just from that bio, I can see why we get along so well with Darcy,
Yeah,
because
100%.
we talk about on here all the time how much we enjoy doing things outdoors and going out with
Yeah.
our families. And so this is going to be good for the design and creativity and visual side, but also we have to ask her some questions about the outdoor activities.
100%. Yeah, it's just part of the brand now at
It's
this
just
point.
at this point, I think so. Today we're going to be talking all about, cultivating that clarity, which is a buzzword. I feel like on this show, we talk about that a lot, but also creativity throughout your church using visual design. This is going to be a lot of fun. Before we jump in, Jess, I want to encourage all our folks who are listening to this today, hit that follow button. Come on, we want to see you subscribed wherever you're enjoying our show. We want to make sure that you stay in the loop as we release these conversations. We have a lot of great conversations. We put out a lot of great resources, I think, Jess.
We do. Between the Church Leadership Lab and
the Healthy Church
this
Hub,
podcast,
right?
and then the Healthy Church Hub. Yes, there's so much in there. Yes.
Yes. So we want to get you subscribed to this and make sure that you don't miss a thing. So without further ado, I want to welcome our guest, Darcy. How are you? Thanks for jumping on here with us today.
Yes, thank you. This is an honor to be on the show.
We're so excited to have you.
We're so excited to talk with you today. And you manage a great team that we have here at Ministry Brands. And so I feel like everything, even this podcast, right? Like your team is responsible for making this happen, right? It's amazing.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yep, I've been doing it. For on the team for 6 years. I think Jess, you've been here with six years also, and just really love doing this and really, really enjoy it.
That's awesome. Well, we kind of read that public bio, and something that we always love to do when folks come on here, right, is we like to, go beyond that public bio a little bit. Tell us something about you that only your friends and family would know about you.
Well, I think we already kind of talked about it, but the outdoor adventure. I love that, and traveling. I mean, I'm not to the level that Jess is at with jumping out of airplanes. Maybe I'll get there one day. But
all right, I'm feeling out of the loop on this because number one, I did not know that Jess has jumped out of an airplane, so we're gonna have to save that story for another episode. But
that was a long time ago.
But that's awesome, Darcy. So what does outdoor mean? Does that mean like camping or hiking or what?
Oh yeah, all the things. I actually love snow skiing, even though I live here in Texas.
Wow.
I don't get to do it often. I love it. I have a need for speed. I love going so fast down the mountain. And as far as traveling goes, a few years ago, my husband and I went to Switzerland in
Wow.
Austria, and that was incredible,
Wow.
amazing. And hopefully, we went there during the summer, and I hope we can go there during the winter sometime and ski during in the Swiss Alps.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I'm
I've
not gonna
heard Christmas is the best time of year to go visit, like, that part of the country. Like, it's
Mm.
literally like Christmas magic everywhere you
Oh,
look with
yes.
little marketplaces and
Uh-huh.
oh,
I
it's
know, in Austria, oh, yeah, that would be incredible.
I mean, I
so
feel like I've
fun.
gotta add that to, like, my bucket list now. Okay, that sounds awesome.
Yep.
And I didn't know about the skiing either, so that's pretty amazing. That's one thing that I have not done. I need to try that. I need to up my outdoor activity game, I guess.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I know that you've spent a lot of time, developing and using creativity and design throughout your career, and I'm just kinda curious, how did that get started for you? What first inspired that passion for visuals and design and creativity?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really think of a first. It's been part of me since I was a kid. I've loved art and design
Yeah.
since I was a kid, and my parents, they would give me, like, art supplies and glue and all that stuff for Christmas, and, um, and I really can't say computer graphic design was there when I was a kid because I don't think computers are really a big thing. I'm that old.
Yeah, there was, like, the paint tool, remember? Like,
Yes,
you could use
Microsoft.
that. That
Yes,
was
yeah,
about it.
Microsoft Paint, that was '90s. Darcy was all about Microsoft Paint,
Yes.
If
and,
that's not on your LinkedIn, I feel like you gotta add that, right? You gotta
It's
get
like the
yeah,
OG
Microsoft.
Canva.
yeah, yeah. Yes, yes. So, I mean, my kids, they ask me all the time, they're like, "What was it like being with the dinosaurs?"
Oh my gosh.
That's where we're at. It's 'cause
Rude.
I
Dinosaurs
know.
and Microsoft Paint. Okay,
I
now
know.
I
I know.
understand the timeline here.
Yeah.
So it's been a
But,
part
yeah.
of you for a long time
Mhm.
since, from the
Yep.
crafts as a kids, and so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
tell us a little bit more. I hated
Yeah.
to interrupt you.
Oh, yeah, no, it's good. So, yeah, I always loved art design, and then I went to school for it, and, I was attending Second Baptist Church, and I loved their graphics, and I was like, "Oh, there's no way I could do this." And my
Mm,
husband's like, "Oh, you totally should. You should go for it, like, see if you can get a job there." And I applied and got a job full-time there and, really learned, like, hands-on. That was incredible because you can learn from school, but just being
Mhm.
there, um, working was incredible, how much I learned.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
yeah, actually having to, fulfill all the many requests that come in, right? And
Mhm.
doing all
Oh,
those
yes.
different things. I mean, that I feel like that
Yes.
you're right. It is like the next level for sure.
Yes. I really there were so many. I think there were, I don't know how many campuses at the time when I worked there, but we stayed busy, and I really got to learn how to design for different types of ministries, like
Mm,
for men's ministry and
Mhm.
women's
right.
ministry, and, I love the kids ministry, that was fun. But,
Yeah.
yeah, we stayed very, very busy there.
That's kinda true with churches. Like, there needs to be kind of an underlying brand, right?
Right.
We've had many podcasts about this, but you do have the fun opportunity to kinda tap into different audiences. Like, I've never really considered that. How fun that you get to have some variety with
Yes.
those different types of projects, groups, the
Mhm,
audiences is
yes.
really what it boils down to, but that's really
Mhm,
fun. I hadn't considered that.
mhm. It was very fun. I really enjoyed it. It was very fun.
I love that, and, just kinda hearing some of your journey, and even thinking of how it applies to a church. Some churches, the idea of designs or visuals, it's not a priority, right? It's not something that they think about a lot. But I think
Mhm,
church, for our listeners today, they may be surprised to hear of, if they really got to thinking about it, visuals are probably being used quite a bit in their ministry, whether they realize it or not.
Mhm.
Can you speak to a little bit at all about, you know, maybe what does it mean to have visuals? What is the priority? Why is it important to have, design and things like that, creativity in a church?
I could think of so many reasons for that. I'll just name a couple of things. Um, the first thing is that it helps give a good first impression. So if
Mm,
someone's checking out your church online, that first experience can make all the difference in whether they decide to come or not. So that's one way, and then it also okay, this is pretty cool, but I think it reflects God's character.
Mm.
And, from the very beginning with creation, you can see how God values order and intention and beauty, and everything he made was good and had a purpose.
Mm.
And then also, like, there's another example in Exodus where he gave instructions to Moses to build a tabernacle, and
Mhm.
he actually had an artist go in there and just use his creativity. So you can tell that God cares deeply about excellence and intentionality in the way that his house was built. And
Wow.
yeah, yeah. And my parents actually gave me a plaque when I was in school for design that had that Exodus 31 on it, and it just really show how much God cares about design and artistry.
Well, and precision
Yeah.
too, like, the
Yep.
verses are so stinking specific down to the measurement, so
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
what a
Yeah.
sweet reminder. I love
Right.
that, Darcy.
Yep. Yep.
That is so good because, sometimes it's intimidating, right? You think like a pastor or a church leader may think, okay, well, they don't consider themselves to be creative, or maybe they don't have someone who has the title on their team that they are, the creative pastor or the creative leader or the designer or something like that, and so it can be intimidating. But I think
Mm,
there's opportunity for any church, for any leader to lean into that creative nature that's inside of them as followers of the creator, right?
mhm,
And you spoke
mhm.
to it so well with that. And I'm not going to lie to you. I just came off of a family trip with we were up in the mountains, and I love to just to step back and to just look at God's creation, right? Looking up in the mountain, you see that beautiful mountain peaks and the colors and all those different things. And
Mm,
it can't, I mean, it creativity and some of these visuals that we get, it can really point to our creator, right? It can just remind us of how good he is and how
Mhm.
powerful he is, right? And how small we are.
Yes. Oh my goodness, yes. That is
colors, I
incredible.
think, are the thing that blow my mind, like, just looking at flowers or fish or birds, and they're these vibrant colors, and I'm like, "Wow, God, you're amazing," and he
Yeah.
is so creative, right? There is no limit, to even the color spectrum. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Darcy, when let's talk. We mentioned the word brand, and that's something that I feel like when church leaders hear that word, they think like, okay, well, that's like our logo, or maybe that's like our colors. How would you define really like what a church brand is, and how does that matter? What does it mean to have like a visual identity for a church?
I would say the best thing to do is just start small and keep it simple. So, just pick 2 to 3 fonts, 2 to 3 core colors, and stick to them everywhere, like on your website, social media, slides, bulletins, and just create this brand kit so anyone who's making something for the church has these tools in hand. And then, the other thing I think that, I would say it's very, very important is to assign ownership to someone.
Mm.
So, consistency doesn't just happen. It can take someone making sure all the pieces align.
Well, you brought up some really great points, and the fonts, the colors, and those kind of things. It sounds like consistency maybe is the important thing here. So it's not, you come in and in different places of your church, there's like, one look here, one look there, but you're saying maybe having those consistent in different places, is that kind of where that branding or kind of comes in?
Yep, and you can see it even like Coca-Cola, it's always red and white.
Mm.
It's standard, and you can identify that belongs to Coca-Cola. So
Mhm.
just keeping it very simple with, those core colors and fonts will really help you out there.
I feel like this is something that I've seen firsthand, even in my own church, because we're a young church, relatively speaking. I mean, we've been around for a little bit over a decade. But we have used a consistent color. Our main color that we've used is a teal color, and we've
Mm,
had that from the get go. You see teal. I mean, we have a color palette that we use, a couple different colors, but the main one is that teal that you see. You see it on our website. You see it on signs and things like that. And when people see that teal, they associate it now with our church, right? Like
mm,
it's the kind of
mhm.
thing that people can kind of pick up on, and I feel like it kind of brings that recognition. It also brings like a little bit of comfort, right? And like you kind of know what you're going to see, right?
Right. That's exactly right. Yep.
Well, and if you have multiple channels to knowing, like if you're scrolling through Instagram, if you're scrolling through Facebook, I think that matters so much too, because your eye will catch the thing that is familiar, right? So if you are
That's a good
scrolling through
point.
and they're looking on their feed and they happen to see your church, right? Kendall's a post from your church. And if there's consistency there, they'll know right off the bat, oh, the church posted something new. Let me take a look. I think
It's a
that's,
great point. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think about this, like in your experience, how would you say that having a clear and consistent brand or visual identity can help a church to kind of cut through the noise and make the message stand out?
Yeah, I think that people are overwhelmed every day with information. So if a church's
Phew.
message looks scattered or unclear, it's easy to overlook. And
mm,
so I like to think of it as a form of hospitality. And so when someone walks into your home, you want them to feel welcoming. You don't want them wondering where to sit or feel uneasy
Yeah.
because everything's chaotic. So I think branding does that same thing for churches. And I
Right.
think a clear, consistent brand is like setting a table where before guests arrive. And it says, we're expecting you. We care about your experience and we want you to feel at home. And so when I think that the visuals and the messages are aligned, people don't have to work to figure out what the church is all about, and they can just fully focus on what matters, and that's connecting with Jesus.
love
I
it.
love that.
Yeah.
I love that. You work a little bit with this with our team at Ministry Brands. I know you're managing several designers and things like that. Can you speak to it all? I mean, like we have certain brand guidelines that we use. I think about all our social posts, for example, that we put out, right? There's certain guidelines that we use on those and so that they look the same. What are some of those things that apply to that? Is it just about the fonts and colors or is it bigger than that?
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, I have noticed that with creative people, it actually works better when there are these guardrails, and, so, I mean, it might sound backwards, but when everything is a blank canvas, creative people just end up spinning their wheels, and, they spend so much time wondering what's allowed or what's right that it slows them down, and so I think having those guardrails actually lets them go faster, and because they know that the boundaries and they can just focus on their energy on solving those real problems.
Yeah, that's really good. I mean, I feel like that's applicable to any creatives in any space, right? Whether it be in a business like Ministry Brands, but also in a church, right? These I think of these pastors and leaders that are going to be listening to this. They have creative people around their church, but it sounds like giving them some of those guardrails of stick to this kind of look can be helpful for them, right?
Right, right, right. Just, you know, a a color palette, clear logo rules, or defined style for photos and images. I think
Mm,
do that and set up practical tools like templates for different ministries, or
Yeah.
even a simple approval process is good.
Yeah, that makes so much sense, and I feel like that's something that I've even seen a lot of churches will put out resources like that. They'll it's called a style guide, right? Is that the
Yes,
term that's
yes,
widely used for that? So you
yes.
can even do a quick Google, and a lot of ministries that you would know by name have these style guides that are public available, and it gives you an idea. And of course, what was the example you gave earlier? Coca-Cola, right? Like
mhm.
you can look up some of these, and it really I feel like will click for people to see those examples because it is really just a simple set of rules that says this is if we're going to put something out to the world in our communication, this is what it's going to look like, right?
Mhm. That's right.
That's a good idea to have folks look up a style guide. I look at our style guide all the time as I'm working through like ebook content and just trying to get inspiration on where we're going with, some of the pieces that we put together. So it is super helpful. Even the
Yep.
photography part, or Darcy, you kind of nodded to it. But I would hope that your church is capturing pictures one way or another, whether that's somebody on your team that's got an iPhone Or, if you have a photographer that is there regularly during services or events just to capture those pictures, because that really does make a big difference, in the way that you communicate visually with your church. People love to see themselves on screen, right? And so even for images, if you have, if that's a big part of your visual storytelling, then having some guides for even that, I feel like would be helpful to, if you've got like certain edits or whatever. I think that the
Right.
consistency there too is a great opportunity.
Darcy, I know that church leaders and creatives sometimes can kind of see the world differently, right?
Mhm.
From your experience, just mentoring and leading creatives, what advice would you give to church leaders or pastors about kind of how to bring the best out of these creatives or these creative teams?
Ooh, that's good. I think the best thing that leaders can do and pastors, um, is to give clarity on the mission and then to trust their teams with the how.
Mm,
And, creatives wanna know their work matter and that it connects to something bigger. And I think that pastors should lead with the why and not the how. And
mm,
so when creative people understand the mission, they'll come up with ideas that go far beyond what you might have imagined. And, I there's something that my pastor says I really liked. Like, as a church, we wanna be married to the mission, and not married to the methods. So,
mm,
I
Mm,
think, I've seen how people on my church staff have been that they love the freedom they have there. As long as, like, whatever we can do short of sin to get to reach people,
mm.
yeah.
is what they're all about. It's just
I
yeah,
love that.
that freedom.
That's great.
Yep.
No, that really is great, and I feel like you have to kind of for the creative types in our churches. I feel like we have to kind of give them a little bit of freedom, right? Would you agree with that? I mean, like we have to give a little bit of trust um, as they go out there. But I like what you said. You said be married. What did you say? Married to the
Yeah, be
mission.
married to the mission, but not the methods.
So in other
So
words, like the looks may some of the sermon series graphic this time may be a little bit different than we typically do, but it brings an
yes,
extra level of creativity. But it still
right.
points back to the same thing that we're trying to accomplish, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Well, and if you've got that style guide established, there's just enough, like, stay on the road, but if you wanna drive
Yes.
upside down, that's up to
Yeah.
you. At least you could be creative about it, but I think those guardrails are just enough. And to Darcy's point, so I generally lean more creative as well, and so you're right, like, if I sit down and I have a blank sheet of paper in front of me, I feel like
Yes.
there's a bajillion ideas and I need a little bit of direction, right?
Mhm.
And so, like,
Yes.
give me like a category, anything, and then, I can come up with something
Yes.
cool,
Mhm.
but having just enough, like,
Yep.
here's the box.
Mhm.
Right.
Do what you
Yep.
want with it. I think that's the perfect balance. The style guide provides consistency, but yeah, and that mission provides like a general direction, and then everything in between is just where that magic can happen.
I
Exactly.
feel like something that I'm kinda taking from this too is both sides, right? So you have the church leader perspective on this because we wanna be more creative. As church leaders, we wanna get more creatives involved in our team, and we wanna, lean into that. We want our church to have a great visual identity. We want people to recognize our church when they see that, and so we want all of these things. But as leaders, sometimes it can be a little intimidating to kind of release that creative power to
Mhm.
folks. And so I think this is a good challenge for leaders. That's establish those rules, establish those guardrails, establish those that style guide with exactly what you're kind of hoping for, but then also being willing to release it. On the flip side of that, I feel like for creatives and
Mhm.
someone who's getting involved in their church creatively, it's a good reminder to submit to the vision that your leadership has for this, right? I think maybe that's a mistake that I've seen made so many times is like you come in and a creative may want to, try this idea because they saw it at this church or they want, have seen this style that's recently popped up. But you have to make it work in the guardrails of what
Mhm.
makes sense for the vision and mission of your ministry, I think. Would you agree with
Yep.
that, Darcy?
Oh my goodness, exactly. 100%. Yes.
We were talking recently, Darcy, about a book that you had read that was about creatives and leading creatives. Can you remind me what that was?
Yes, so it's called Herding Tigers. I actually have it right here, Herding Tigers.
She brought her own copy. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that.
So my pastor actually recommended this book whenever I went from graphic designer to leading the creative team here on Ministry Brands.
Yeah.
Um, and so you know how the phrase goes like herding cats, and no offense
Yeah.
to cats. I know I have cats.
I love cats.
I mean, Jeff has like a really cute cat, a super cute cat. Um, but but creative people are like tigers, and
Mm,
they have like these big ideas, powerful, and they're unpredictable, and
yeah.
like what we talked
Yeah.
about before is just finding that balance of structure and then just also unlocking their full potential. So that's what I really like learned from this book is trying to figure that kind of the balance.
I need that to
Yeah.
lead my daughter. She is like complete creative, 110%. Like she loses stuff and she forgets stuff, but because her brain
Yeah.
is moving a million miles an hour to do the next
Mm,
amazing thing, right? So
yeah.
that sounds like a great
Yeah.
read for this mama.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to check out this book, and I love that you had your own copy. That you can't hold it up like that on a podcast when you listen to the audiobook. That's typically what I'm listening to.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
it's
now,
Herding Tigers. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's
no, go
Herding
ahead.
Tigers by Todd Henry.
Love that. We'll have to
Yep.
put that in the show notes for sure. I'm curious, like as you're working with all these creative things, are there any tools or resources that you'd recommend for any of our folks that are watching or listening today?
I would say, of course, Adobe is great. Adobe is good. Canva is awesome. I know it's simple. I have no hate to Canva. It's a game changer for churches. I know Pro Presenter is awesome for the worship visuals. And I also want to put a plug in for something that we offer at Ministry Brands, and that's church motion graphics. And it is incredible what they have. They have uh, like sermon graphics and countdown graphics and holiday graphics. They have a team of just really talented designers on there, and so I'd say check that out if you
For
need some help
sure.
there.
And that can kind of bridge the gap too.
Mm.
We have so many different. I mean, there's so many different visuals. I feel like that are a part of what we offer. Um, and I feel like that can kind of bridge the gap for churches who are trying to figure this thing out. Right? Maybe they don't have anyone on their team that's creative. They don't have a dedicated designer, I should say, because there's creativity in so many different ways. But um, it can kind of bridge the gap. But it also, I experience this in my own church, is that sometimes having templates that are available or ready made graphics are just a great starting point, right?
Yes.
Because you can customize a lot of these different things to make them work for your specific church. I'll give you a perfect example. Our church is already thinking about Christmas, and if you can pull a graphic that's made for Christmas, and then you can add your church's name at the bottom or something like that, or tweak the color to make it work. I feel like that's it just goes such a long way, and you don't have to start from a blank canvas, which for any creative who's watching or listening to this today, how intimidating a blank canvas can be at times.
Mhm.
And so that is a huge resource. Darcy, you mentioned Adobe. I feel like um, that's like the biggest one that you could, that's probably the most widely used professional suite. But that's Photoshop, that's
It's
what
Illustrator.
Illustrator and InDesign, and even on the video side, Premiere and After Effects and things like that. But I feel like Canva has made such a huge
Yeah.
impact in these past few years, and even Figma, right? Like they've
Yeah.
kind of come on the scene and have made such a big difference. I feel like they're a little less intimidating to jump into. Would you agree with that?
I totally agree. Yeah. Yeah, I've used it. I think it's great. I think Canva's great.
I think you missed Microsoft Paint too on that list. If anyone wants to use Microsoft Paint, Add that to the list.
Oh, I love that you brought that up because, we're gonna add Microsoft Paint to all of our LinkedIns after this. We gotta make
Yeah,
sure that
if you're a serious graphic designer, I mean, if you can create something amazing in Microsoft Paint, then you are the best. I
I
mean,
don't know if y'all have seen this, but one of my favorite things, that church I've seen companies do this, and I've even seen churches do this, is they'll put up like a graphic on their screens or on their billboard or wherever, and it's like Microsoft Paint, and it will say, it'll just have like a scribbled out design need graphic designer or something like that. Have y'all
yeah.
seen these? Have you
Yeah,
seen
I
Yes.
saw that campaign. Yeah.
Yes.
You
That's
gotta
right.
have, that's like they'll say like our designer is out of town, just come to church or something like that. Have you seen that?
No, that's cute. I love it.
Love that. Darcy, we know that clarity is so important for churches and for these organizations. I'm just kind of curious, what are some practical ways that visuals and visual identity can help to bring that clarity?
Well, there's a couple ways. There's like the physical way of clarity, and like if you when you walk into a building to see different signs, like to go this direction, go the sanctuary is over here. Um, that's one way, and having a cohesive look at the church is helpful. And then
Yeah.
also from a spiritual side, there is clarity there with sermons
Mhm.
and if you were to the Bible is very complex, and when you see these visuals, it helps people who are new at the church understand these very deep um, ideas in the Bible.
It's good. That's so good. Even like our church recently, or we're studying through James right now, and there's a lot of emphasis on James being the brother of Jesus and how similarly they taught. And there has been an image, and it's more of like oh, what are those things called that are like in Europe all over? It's not a mosaic, but you know what I'm talking about, where it's like a representation of Jesus. Anyway, they're beautiful.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but anyway, there is an image, right, on the thing of the stage, and it is an image representation of Jesus and James. And it's just so helpful to have even a like visualization of a human being. We don't know if it looks exactly like Jesus, right? But just having something to put eyes on as we're hearing these messages. And, the image represents the closeness that James and Jesus have. And so that's also important as we're reading through all of this, being reminded of how close Jesus and James were. But to your point, Darcy, that's something that maybe we would have forgotten as we got through the series, right? He made it abundantly clear at the beginning. This is why this is important. And then that image has been used throughout the entire series. And so it's a constant reminder that, like, hey, this guy
Mm,
had like firsthand experience by Jesus his whole life, right? And so
wow.
I think it's really important, to your point, to have that visually demonstrated some way, or like real lofty ideas that maybe are just hard to put into practical application makes a big difference.
Sure.
I feel like we just covered two very different ends of the spectrum on what the value that visuals can bring to clarity, right? Because we talked about there's like the information that visuals can bring. You're talking about having like a sign, like wayfinding, right? And we've talked about that so many times on the podcast. But there's also, I mean, the side of it where you're able to communicate complex ideas and
Mhm.
make them more simple and point people to Jesus. So I mean, overall, both of those elements that we just examples that we just gave, even though they're so different, it required a creative to make both
Mhm.
of those things.
Mhm.
And it really
Absolutely.
shows how important creatives are, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
I love that. And clarity is so important. Whatever you're trying to communicate, I feel like it's so much easier for the recipient, for the participant, if they have a visual to go along with it. And that's everything from branding to even the sermon graphic, as you said. They're just
Mhm.
Darcy, I'm kind of curious. I mean, like, if we have a young creative that's listening to this, someone who's just getting started in this, I'm kind of curious what message you would have for them today, or maybe even what you would say to a young Darcy as she was getting started in this kind of thing.
I would say get involved at church on the serve team, and I know a lot of churches have production teams, creative teams, get involved and get experience that way. And, even I didn't really have a creative team when I was a teenager at my church, but I was helping with the cameras. And so that I learned creative things that way too. So I'd
Mhm.
say get
Yeah.
involved at church and gain experience that way.
I love it. You'll be with like-minded people too. There's a good
Yeah.
chance. I love that.
Yes.
Well, and I think of how much of a difference it made in my own life of getting involved in at my church, right? And being able to use those gifts and, it really shaped who I am today. So I love that advice. That's so
Mhm.
great. This is really cool. Darcy, a question that we ask all of our podcast guests. We talk a lot about healthy churches. You hear this a lot at Ministry Brands. I'm just kind of curious, in your opinion, what is one essential component of a healthy church?
Okay. Well, I think a healthy church has a clear mission and vision with Jesus at the center of it. And I think it's focused on reaching people who haven't met him yet. And then also, like, just from my angle, from a design perspective, I think a healthy church is one where the mission and the vision show up clearly in everything people see. So,
Mm,
your website, social media, signage, graphics, printed material, when your visuals are consistent and, intentional, it makes it easier for people to understand what your church cares about and connect
Hmm.
with Jesus.
perfect answer. I love
Perfect
that.
answer. I love that. Let's jump into our final 5 that we have. We wanna make sure that we get a chance to talk through these. They're gonna be a lot of fun. Are you up for the challenge for the final 5?
Ooh, I think I am.
Okay,
All
Let's
here we
right.
do it.
go.
Oh, I'm
Okay,
ready.
what is one book on this subject or similar you'd recommend to church leaders? And you've already recommended one book.
I know.
Is there another
Is there
book?
another one?
Yes,
Yeah, that's what I was
this
gonna
is the
say.
one. This is it right here.
That's
This is
it.
it.
Okay,
That's it.
Herding Tigers. I love
Herding
it. I'm
tigers,
actually
yep.
excited. What a great name for what
I
that book is
know.
about. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, Darcy, what is the last thing you listened to on Spotify or Apple Music or wherever you stream music?
Okay, "Gratitude" by Brandon Lake, over and over again. I love
It's a
that
good
song.
one.
Just
That is a good
lately,
one.
just
Good
I
one for
love that
sure.
song. So good.
Okay, good answer. Favorite piece of technology or software right now?
I love right now this AI. I love AI right now, a lot of AI things, but I love, an AI note taker called Granola. It's been it's a like, it takes notes while you're in meetings,
Mhm.
and, it's just such a time saver.
Yeah,
Really like
I still haven't implemented one here at work, and I really need to.
it.
So maybe I'll check out granola. Okay, quote or advice that has stuck with you over the years?
Ooh. I love this quote, "Do it scared. Do it scared."
Mm,
So, I love that one. So, I have to remind myself that fear is natural, but it doesn't get to make my decisions.
Mhm.
And so I go for it anyway, and I trust that God is with me, and often that's when growth and opportunity and creativity, it shows up when you just go for it. So
Love
I
it.
love that quote. Yeah.
That's a good one. One thing that you would like to communicate to our audience of church leaders.
Ooh, okay, so I would say don't be afraid of change. So, I mean, the gospel never changes, but how we communicate it does. And so,
Mm,
especially as new generations come up, and that's what branding is all about, is creating clarity so people can actually hear the message.
mm,
And so, again, like, just hold tightly to the mission, but stay flexible with your methods.
it's good. I love
that's
that.
really good. Darcy, this has been a great conversation. I know that people will wanna hear more from you. Where can they follow you? How can they stay connected with, all the good things that you're doing?
LinkedIn, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to meet new people in the creative space, in the ministry space. So,
I love that. We'll be sure
yeah,
to link that up, and honestly, you have your hand in so many different things at Ministry Brands with all of it. Look, I feel like you could go to our Ministry Brands social pages and just see things that literally, right? You've been going through our website, all these different things. You play such
Mhm.
a valuable part of our teams. Thank you for all the good stuff that you're doing.
thank you.
Thank you so much for being on here to talk with us today, Jess. Thank you for being on here to kind of guide our conversation with us. Always good to talk through these things with you.
Happy to do it.
For all of our listeners, be sure to check out all the resources and the show notes that we'll provide all the links for. And hey, if this episode has encouraged you, would you consider sharing it with a friend or leaving a review? That helps us to keep equipping leaders just like you. And be sure to hit that follow or subscribe button wherever you're watching or listening from today. Until next time, keep leading well, and we'll see you right back here next week on Church Leadership Lab.
This episode of the Church Leadership Lab podcast is brought to you by Ministry Brands, the largest provider of church technology software. Over 90,000 churches rely on Ministry Brands for their single platform solution that brings together all the digital tools a church needs. From online giving to websites to church management software and more, Ministry Brands is leading the way in simple to use, innovative solutions, all with the goal of empowering healthy churches. To learn more, visit ministrybrands.com.